my gosh. Hi, good morning. Oh, my side lights aren't on. Why is that not? Why did I always forget to turn those on? It's morning. It's the morning show. So we're just relaxing into this show. We're not even worrying about the pressures of a afternoon show and the technology there. And this is much better. There you go. Now that's a green screen. That's a cutout. That's reasonable. Hi, good morning. How are you? What's your beverage of choice? What is it? I'm doing plain iced coffee this morning. It's good, just ever so slightly bitter. It's like an X in a glass. Morning, yes, morning hair Hal. Yes, it's definitely morning hair Hal. I gave it a quick brush through, threw my headphones in, and kapow! That's just how it goes. Zevia coffee, even though it's 12. That's right. Well, it's not morning everywhere, so you just got it. Morning being a relative concept. Bitter dregs. Pepsi for breakfast. Yikes. Coffee, cream, and sugar. Water. There you go. Pure quality H2O. It's actually H1.50. Does anybody been following the science on water lately? I don't know if you guys are up on the new discoveries about water. Let's see if I can find the there you go. Water. We notably understand that water is H2O and that it can come in a liquid, a gas, or a solid. It turns out water is also two things. It can be two liquids, a high density liquid and low density liquid, and that they actually are separate. Water is one of the most fundamental molecules on Earth, and yet scientists are only just beginning to wrap their heads around how bizarre the substance really is. Again, water, like spiders, goes into my category of things about just because you name it does not mean you know what it is. If any of you have seen my stand-up, the wisdom of children will often point out the fact that you're like, what is that? That is a spider. No, I know what you call it, but what the fuck is that? It's a spider. I know that's what you're pointing at. What is it though? Look at it. What the hell is going on? It's got 8 legs and thousands of eyes, and it's hairy, and it might bite me, and it's jumping around, and it's all spooky and paranoid, and it's walking sideways like a crab, and it wants to kill me. What is it? Well, we call them spiders, but they're arachnids. There's a whole group of them. They all have 8 legs, and but what is it? I don't know. We just call them arachnids and spiders, so we know when to get a shoe or a rolled up newspaper. Spider. That is the cry out word to get a rolled up newspaper. That's how we know. That's what the word spider means. It does not mean an arachnid. It means get a rolled up newspaper. And the same thing with water is we call water water. We know water is water. We talk about water all the time. We know water can freeze and turn into ice. We know that it can heat up and turn into mist or fog or steam. But we still don't know what the hell it is. We call it these things. Just because you name something doesn't mean you know what the hell it is. There you go. No, get a flamethrower. Well, all right. Well, again, these are all translations. I meant this. Case in point, researchers have now discovered that water exists in not one, but 2 distinct liquid phases, each with big differences in structure and density. Using X-rays to study H2O in unprecedented detail, physicists from Stockholm University in Sweden have provided evidence that the liquid water we know and love isn't just in a single phase. It is, in fact, a fluctuation between 2 forms, high and low density. There are 2 types of water in every pool of water. There's more dense water, usually at the bottom, thank you gravity, and lighter density water at the top that sits on it, and it's a little more expansive and can move a little better. So it's essentially why there are waves on the top of the ocean and there's current under the ocean and in the ocean, but at the bottom, it moves a lot slower. There you go. There are two, just like spiders, right? There's 2 types of spiders. There's small and cute and get the flamethrower. That's right, Anthony. Steam is water droplets heated higher, and you'll turn it into gas. Right. What I'm saying is we have multiple names for states that water is in, but it's still all water. Well, in this case, when water is just being water, when it's liquid water, which is an important distinction, there are two types of liquid water that interact all the time. What they call heavy water is not necessarily just water. In a nutshell, water is not a complicated liquid, but two simple liquids with a complicated relationship. Most of us are taught in high school that water exists in three distinct phases: liquid water, solid ice, and water vapor. But it's not actually that simple. Water can exist as a strange plasma-like state, and even the standard three phases of water we're familiar with are more bizarre. That was a morning yawn. It's okay. Than you'd ever imagine. For example, with the exception of mercury, water is the highest surface tension of all liquids, and unlike almost every known substance, water expands when freezes. Also, while boiling, points of other hydrides, such as hydrogen telluride and hydrogen sulfide, decrease as their molecule size decreases. H2O has a surprisingly large boiling point for such a small molecular weight. In fact, scientists have identified 70 properties of liquid water that are entirely unique from all other liquid substances that we know of. Also, it's not technically H2O, it's H1.50, and it's the constant destabilized to the dual hydrogen molecules. One of them, hydrogen atoms, one of them is destabilized and probably missing an atom, and that's what bonds them with the oxygen molecule, makes water in the first place. And its constant trying to make itself whole and get away is possibly what causes the liquidity of water and its flow. So it's not H2O at all. The two is actually an overlap. Arrow allegedly abducted by mother in Dearborn. Huh? Abducted by mother in Dearborn Park. Oh, is that the girl that was missing? Aubrey Morgan. Okay. Sole custody of Aubrey belongs to father, Andre, but police believe she is with her mother. So that's in the Chicagoland area. Okay. Gotcha. Thanks, Portia. No updates on YouTube. Let's see. Interesting topic. I have had torrential rains this year and have erupted into leaks in my basement walls. Have to put my gas sack and Harley up as collateral. Fix it. Good Lord. Well, water is, again, one of those things we name and categorize, but we really don't know what it is. And that's okay. It's fine to categorize things and get more and more, specific about it. I don't know necessarily, like, I'm pretty sure early humans knew that water was ice and ice was water in two different forms because they experienced it, but that pre-fire, they didn't know that steam was caused by water heating or that it was water. They didn't know the difference between that and smoke necessarily, unless by the smell, but even then not knowing that it was water that was heated up and turning into this. So, or that clouds and fog were actually that. They probably weren't aware of that. And so over time, they added the gaseous form to their category of what water can be and how water can exist in its multitude of forms. And as we get smarter and we start splicing it even thinner, we still, these are still descriptives. And this, I think, is an important value of a conversation about descriptives versus definitives. You're going to get that boring this early in the morning. There are things that are defined by the language you use, and there are things that are described by the language you use. Insults are descriptors, and traits are definers. And if you mix the two, you get very upset very easily. Now scientifically explain Trump's skin color and his hair. Okay, makeup, a almost ghostly pale under the actual skin color, totally covered in makeup. You can see by the jawline. that his eye thinks is a pleasing color, so he overdoes it and no one can convince him otherwise. I've always been interested in learning about more about weather change. Well, it's a complex system. Do I think Trump wears makeup every day? No. I think that's why he calls into to almost every show he's on these days. Yeah. Spray on tan. Well, the problem is he does spray on tan stuff as well, but he on occasion, but he also does, you can see his makeup line on his jaw when he just puts it on himself. He does it like Trump sometimes puts on his own makeup like a hit girl at the state fair. How can you post the missing girl a photo and link from my missing cousin? Yes, I will. Absolutely. I will post it on Twitter right now. Oops, hold on. To copy. Whoops. Back up. Hold on. There we go. I lost the thing. Copy. There you go. Now, there we go. And let's see. Yeah. Missing in Chicago area. Please keep an eye out if you are in the area. There you go. Done and done. There you go. And by the way, today is Caleb's birthday. Caleb Rappaport, who's our guitar player in Nerd Halen. So everybody go wish him a happy birthday at some point during the day if you'd like. It's a good day for it. He and I are very close to the same age. Hi, Susan. Thanks. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Absolutely, Crystal. Glad to. I'm here for this silence. I was typing. It happens. This is a morning show. We can relax into this. If you wake up this uptight, you have something to work on a personal level. Looking at the chat, because that's where my chat is, right there. As it goes by, typical Trump suing the New York Times and his niece. Well, he's broke. He has to. I mean, he's hoping to get some money out of it. He's hoping that they'll settle and he can get some cash out of it. And then if he doesn't pay his attorneys unless they get something, which is his standard plan, then he'll make money on the deal no matter what. So it's worth it just to sue it. He's a nuisance. That's what they do. Let's see. What other weird science? Oh, so can I guys show you guys something? Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. So sometimes, and this is gonna be loud. And fix this, whatever. There's a guy. Michael Burry has shown up again and is issued a warning about the stocks and the stock market and whatnot. He's the guy who was featured in The Big Short and the like. And I'm sure it's worth looking into. But the freak out over the last 3 days on. Because of Evergrande and where they think that's going to move across. And for those of you who don't know, Evergrande is a huge real estate developer in China, completely over leveraged, underwater on debt massively, $300 billion, have started threatening their employees to loan the company money or they're going to get fired. And in which case the only reason they're keeping their jobs there is because they're hoping that the government will bail out the company. But they're not going to loan any money to the company. It's very funny. Yes, and Eric Trump lost his lawyer. That's another side story. But for a while there, let's see. This guy. Let's see if I can find a version that's even more. even like there's so many people that are on like stock YouTube that are just like this is the end. It's all going to crash. See, I told you it's crashing. And then this morning it stopped crashing. Let's see. Yeah, here you go. This is the whole thing. Now, this guy, Stephen Van Meter, who I think in many ways, I guess he should be, he should get more sun, I think, actually. And it's also not advisable to stand in the middle of a racetrack, even if it's a mud track, especially on the inside, because that's where all the horses are going to try to get Steve. Steve is a stock market and business YouTuber. He's got 76,000 subscribers. He calls himself the Bond King. He was on Johnny Bravo's. This is all what Johnny Bravo puts up. Most of Johnny Bravo's thumbnails look like this. They're black with white text. It's crashing. Panic. It's data. Everything is horrible. This is from a day ago. And here, I'll show you. We'll just go in through these. And I've got to reset my microphone on this guy because it always in the morning. I don't know why it needs to be woken up. I don't know quite why, but there you go. Oh, I guess did I mute it? What happened? Why are you not playing sound? No one knows why I can't hear it. Did my headphones get kicked out? I don't know. Oh, I see. No, that's right. Where you guys can hear him, I can't hear him. That's weird. Okay. So hold on one second, and I'll try and fix that so that I can hear what's going on. Because I should be able to. I should be able to hear things like, but I can't. All right. Let's see, turn this off and back on. Did I pull out my cable? That sometimes happens. Sometimes you got to check the most basic things. That oftentimes will be the issue. Sometimes then you go back in here and you choose the second output again to make sure that the audio is right so the thing isn't crazy, and you click on things and click them on and off like that. And then see if that does it. Nope. You guys hear it. I don't hear it. Anyways, all of his videos look like this. This isn't important. You can't hear it? Oh, I see. Okay, that's interesting. Hold on one second. If I may. I see. I think I know what it was. By the way, the internet in my area, it was acting all funky, Many of you know it was acting all funky. And while I was trying to do the show, of course, yesterday desktop audio, let's see, monitor and output. We'll see if that does it temporarily. I'll probably get a slapback echo on it, but we'll see. Nope. Okay. Very strange. Anyways, this is what all of his videos look like. It's all going to explode and die. Everything is falling apart. I don't understand what is going on with this monstrous, horrible thing. And I suppose there's room for that in the world of the stock market, right? Maybe, I mean, I guess everybody wants to be the new Jim Cramer, right? Yes, Mom sees it, definitely a dork. But I think that's his shtick, right? I think the whole thing is that his whole gag is that they're, hold on, let me see if this output will do it. It should have put it in there anyway. Let's see, would it be an output capture? I think it would be. Ad source. Let's see if it's turned off and then hit there. Nope, that didn't do it either. All right, well, I'll fix it for later because I don't normally do morning audio anyways. Point I'm trying to make it is depraved by the bell is this dude and where we go, and this dude both of these guys they basically make their living predicting the end times. You know what I mean? That's what they do online. And there's tons. No, they don't sell doomsday food, but they do bet against the dollar all the time. And Johnny Bravo, this dude, is always talking. He's a what's it called? He's not a day trader, but he basically just kind of buys the dip all the time on micro levels constantly. So anytime something goes down that's going to go back up, he buys the mini dip. He's the day tripper. Daydream believer and a homecoming queen, and everything's crashing. This is terrible. Look at the S&P 85. That's in 1987. And this is terrible. And look where we are. I mean, we're way higher up here, but it's the same kind of thing. Look at the double peak, and then it all falls apart. And then never mind that the entire economy has changed since that time, and everything's digital, and there's all sorts of people involved in the stock market that are involved in that. The automated companies that are buying and selling stocks on the top create those peaks and valleys, but the entire base of the stock market is now held up by individual investors. Investors fear a contagion sweeping financial markets from the troubled China poverty market, Hong Kong. The number of reasons for the sell-off. This was what happened. Okay, and then the next day, he posted this yesterday, which means on the 20th, and he posted this Monday, and then Tuesday this happened, because that's what happens now. Tom Lee says, "Get ready for an everything rally." This is the name of this article. So this is I mean, a lot of people think that the stock market is just, gambling in suits, right? But the reality is it's so much about the market these days. People just don't know. Again, this goes back to just because we can define what water is, we don't know what it actually is. And we can name something a spider, but we don't know what the hell's going on. The same thing is certainly true of the stock market at this point, because it's still called the stock market, and these are still called stocks, and they're all, even though they're sold you can buy microscopic chunks of stocks, like little bits of them instead of a whole share, and you could buy into overlapping share groups with other people and it compared to, I'm opening up a salt factory. We're going to refine salt and sell it across the globe. And we've got shipping and all these things, and I need some startup money. So therefore, buy a stock certificate in my company. And you can be a part of hedge fund salt, right? That kind of stuff. Now, it is so complicated. And the complicated part is that doesn't scare me. Like, a lot of people are weirded out by how complicated the financial system is getting and yada yada. But life is complicated. Why shouldn't it match how complicated life is? It's when you oversimplify it that you get problems, right? You start trying to, these are all, we'll just sell the credit defaults, U.S. stocks jumped on Wednesday ahead of the Federal Reserve's decision on monetary policy as stocks try to snap out of their September slump. Dow Jones advanced 450 points, or 1.2%, led by Chevron and Boeing. S&P added 1.2 and 3.3 in the energy sector. NASDAQ composite gained 1.1. Fed will conclude Tuesday meetings. Difficult task of soothing markets during a tumultuous month, while at the same time preparing investors for removal of some monetary stimulus. So they're eating treasuries, and people are worried, blah, blah, blah. And so some people think that changes everything, and some people think that changes nothing, and then they just grind it up. What the fuck is get ready for an everything rally? Meaning that stocks are in the market's going to go up, and everything's going to go with it. People are so diversified in how they invest these days because of Robinhood and all these other services, and because of E-Trade and stuff like that, that there's enough of those people in the market that it fundamentally has changed how the market behaves. It used to be rich guys had stuff, rich guys sold stuff, rich guys bought stuff, and that was that. And so you could just kind of watch, 9 or 10 different big traders, and that was all the money. That was all the money that was in the stock market, and just watch it go up and down and if one of them freaked out, they all freaked out. Now, because there are so many individual traders and different groups that invest together on a much smaller scale. It's more, everyone has access to the stock market now. And a lot of people are looking at it as, kind of an old-fashioned view of the stock market, in that they think a company's worth sticking around for a while. They buy the stock at a low point. They know it'll go up, just like real estate, and they just sit on it. And yeah, some of them lose their shirt if they pick wrong, but a good portion of them, even when it dips, just keep it. People are like, I lost $50 million in the stock market. That only applies if you get dividends from stuff and you live off the dividends. If you don't live off the dividends, and then you might have less dividend money coming in for a period of time. But if it recovers in a few months and you've got savings and this isn't how you make your only living, which is most of the folks that live off dividend kind of stuff are retirees anyways, or giant corporations, in which case they're expecting those dividends from multiple sources, and if there's very few dividends, they'll sell the stock and go to somebody that does. But the reason it's an everything rally is because the average Joe doesn't care that somebody thinks, Ford sucks as a dividend thing. A lot of retail investors go, I like Ford, it's an American company. I like the trucks. I have the truck. I'm going to get a truck, and therefore I'll invest in it and stay there. And while other companies worldwide don't have those same kind of loyalties, don't care about the company, and are essentially just, bouncing cash investors, they will create giant fluctations. But as the market gets bigger, those fluctuations mean less ultimately. And a lot of companies now write that into the stocks that they release, that there's like this junk stock version of it, that if it rises and falls this much, we still have this amount, even though this is raising and lowering, the undercurrent of how much they're making or what they've got as far as investors remains relatively steady. So you produce more stock ultimately than you need, because you know that enough people will buy the smaller versions of it, that kind of thing. And if it does go up, you get a lot more money. If it does go down, it was always small to start with. GM, Hal, and everyone still have internet problems. Yeah, last night the internet was out here. It went out about 8 o'clock, and then it was supposed to be back up by midnight. And then I checked at midnight because I was, hopping up to do this with you guys, and it was still out. And they had it set for, they'll give you we're hoping to get it working by. Well, the original thing was midnight last night, 12:22 a.m. And then they made it 10 a.m. this morning, and I was like, well, there goes the morning stream, I guess. And then I set an alarm anyways to get up, and about 20 minutes before I hopped on, internet came back. So I was like, oh shit, all right. Hal sounds like a teacher from Peanuts. Oh no. Did the audio get weird? What happened? What I want are vans. I want SUVs small, but I have to go to certain dealers, so Ford is not on my list. Oh, all right, I see that. Yeah, we normally have 1 gig speed here. However, it was wonky. Might be an attack, might be just tech stuff. Also, Cox has a tendency to think no one works on Sundays, and so they do all their they try to fix whatever doesn't work on Sundays, and a lot of times they will break something that they are trying to fix. So that you'll see that more and more, that internet companies have to shut off entire segments or throttle certain things. And what it'll be like, we have a bit of an outage, and the outage magically happens on Sundays because they're trying to avoid collapses because so many people are working from home. Spectrum will do the same thing. I love how stock market says up or down, but they don't know which stocks are behind it. Yeah, I mean, the general, speaking of, there are so many stocks, and I think it's 6 or 7 major stocks. Let's see if I can find that. 7 stock. Whoops, I put it in there. Is it the right one? Okay, sorry. 6. I think it's 6 major stocks behind growth. Wait, why is 6? I didn't type in R. I typed in 6. There you go. Now I'm just getting, yeah, here it is. It's like, yeah, where are we? Stocks, every investor, whatever. I'll see if I can, how do they were, nope, that's not it. Man, there's so much stuff. You can't, yeah, there are, where is it? You guys know the name of it? You know what I'm talking about? There's an acronym. It's like with Apple, Alphabet, Tesla, and three others are basically the entire massive growth we've seen in the stock market over the last 4 years, particularly. But now everybody's like, here you go. This is kind of back to what we were talking about with the. I don't know how this became a stock show, but we're talking about this. 6 stocks Jim Cramer is watching amid Evergrande contagion fears. And again, Evergrande is indicative of a Chinese crash in their economy. Remain in the headlines Tuesday. Oh, go away. As the company nears its first debt hurdle on September 23rd, the company is due to pay out interest worth $83 million on a 5-year U.S. dollar denominated bond with an initial issue of $2 billion. Further payment and 7-year bonds expected the 29th. They're gonna. Chairman Hui Ka-yuan said that told staff that Evergrande would walk out of its darkest moment, resume full-scale construction as soon as possible. Right. Evergrande is linked to hundreds, if not thousands, of unfinished projects. Any day now. Just hang out for just a couple more. Ratings company Standard & Poor's said Evergrande is likely to default in the coming weeks, but said Beijing would likely be compelled to step in if there's a far-reaching contagion causing multiple major developers to fail and posing systemic risks to the economy, which is almost wholly isolated because of how they've decided to run their economy over the last 6 years. Wells Fargo, Chase, Uber, Lyft, Adobe, and Nike. That's what he thinks you should. What? These are his choices? Why would that? What the hell does that have to do with contagion from? These are all the kind of thing that these are the stocks that people think individuals will put money into. As much as people hate banks, they know banks succeed, so they put it up on there. And, they put their money in stocks there. And then Uber and Lyft, Adobe, and Nike are all retail stock winners, I guess. Is that the thought? Dumb people, they'll buy McDonald's. It's the same thing of like, invest in Coke whenever the economy goes down. I don't, and again, this is, good morning. And this all started just with us talking about water. And how we don't know what water is. No one knows what water is. Good morning. We increasingly know that water is something, and in many ways it's several somethings. But we don't know what those somethings are. And every time we think we do, we don't. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Gather round. It's the Hal Sparks Hangout Morning Show. We're just getting on to, yes, Cramer is definitely fake. We're getting into our shall we check our internet trends this morning? Should we just see what's trending and what horrors await us? Okay. Well, it's this, because if you want to doom scroll, that's what you want. UN General Assembly continues in New York. Yeah, we knew that. Ashley Babbitt is the number one. Oh God. Trump campaign, new lawyers, voting machine claims were baseless, memo shows. Oh yeah, so this is the I think is this from the book? Is this from nope. Okay, this is the big memo that they posted. There was a 6-page memo. Trump campaign, new lawyers, voting machine claims were baseless, memo shows. Days before lawyers allied with Donald Trump gave a news conference promoting election conspiracy theories, his campaign had determined that many of the claims were false. Court filings reveal. Let's see. Problem for the Trump team according to court documents released on Monday evening. There it is. Internal memo. This is it. Read the Trump campaign's internal memo. Dominion, Smartmatic, Sequoia, Venezuela. Dominion, Smartmatic, Sequoia, Venezuela. It's like a toast. Dominion and Smartmatic are independent companies that split from each other in 2012. Both Dominion and Smartmatic are companies that provide election systems consulting. Dominion entered a partnership with Smartmatic. There's no apparent relationship between Smartmatic and the Spanish company Indra. Smartmatic claims it has no relationship. Smartmatic and Indra are rivals in the Philippines. There's no evidence of votes are being counted overseas in Spain. Dominion has no direct ties to Venezuela. While Dominion has no company ties to Venezuela, Smartmatic does through its owners. Smartmatic was investigated by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States due to its ties to Venezuela. In 2004, Smartmatic was chosen by Venezuelan authorities to be used in a referendum. This election is believed to have been tampered with, as the algorithm appeared to adjust the vote in Chavez's favor. Before this election, Venezuela government invested in a small company tied to Smartmatic through its owners. In return for the investment, the Venezuelan government agency was given a 28% stake and seat on its board. Sequoia was Venezuelan officials insist the money invested was repaid. The Venezuela never directly had a stake in Smartmatic. Sequoia was owned by Smartmatic from 2005 to 2007, not purchased by Dominion until 2010. Smartmatic owned Sequoia voting machines from 2005 to 2007. There's no evidence that Dominion's CEO or any of the leader of the group has ties to Antifa. Smartmatic has a global presence. It was established in Florida in the wake of the 2000 election because of hanging chads. Smartmatic was designed and implemented secure voting technology for election commissions on 5 continents and 25 countries. It invests substantial resources into research and development. It's 3 centers: the Americas, Europe, and Asia. These are their references and the people involved. It's privately owned by SGO employees and angel investors. 2 of the founders, Antonio Mujica and Roger Piñate, continue to run the company as CEO and president, respectively. The remaining shares are held by employees and angel investors. Doesn't own any other voting machine company currently. Smartmatic software is not licensed for use in other companies' voting machines. Like this is all the stuff. Smartmatic employees have made 12,000 political donations, but these have predominantly gone to Democrats. Is the tie? I've donated $256.86. Total of $256.86. Okay. Of that amount, $1.66 or 85% went to Democratic candidates. Oh, all right. 2 employees donated a total of $90 to President Trump, which is $180, which would be more than the 166. Smartmatic counsel Lillian Parnas has donated $11,000 to Act Blue, earmarked for people-powered election. Okay, so that's the big amount that they're talking about. Their lawyer. Short-lived partnership. Entered a contract with Smartmatic. They're not there. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, they put out this entire thing. Rudy Giuliani claims Smartmatic sent its votes overseas to Barcelona to be counted. Excuse me, it's Barcelona. And they included a black and white shot of him claiming this. On Fox, Dominion is a Canadian company, but all of its software is Smartmatic software. The votes actually go to Barcelona, Spain, which I don't know what the value of that is. Like, you couldn't see that. It's so strange. However, the only apparent evidence votes were being counted in Spain was that Smartmatic is owned by a Spanish person. Ah, I see. It's the Spanish name that gets you, whatever, because you can't be, obviously, a traitor if you got a foreign-sounding name. Is this CEO? It's Smartmatic, yeah. Is a Spanish-Venezuelan dual national. Firm said it's owned primarily by 3 entrepreneurs. He lives in London. Smartmatic is headquartered in London. Dominion has no company ties to Venezuela. That's Snopes. Ties to Venezuela. So they knew all this was BS. The campaign did. Before these idiots came out and did their head leaking story. Documents also suggest the campaign sat on its findings about Dominion, even as Sidney Powell and other lawyers attacked the company in conservative media. Oh boy, you know what that means? That means Dominion can sue the Trump campaign in retrospect, and possibly the super PAC that Trump is now running that has taken its place for lots of money. Oops. According to emails contained in the documents, Zach Parkinson, when the companies in the community reach out to subordinates, asking them to substantiate or debunk several matters concerning Dominion. The next day, emails show that Mr. Parkinson received a copy of a memo cobbled together by his staff from largely what appear to be news articles and public fact-checking services. Dominion did not use voting technology from the software company Smartmatic. We know this, that Dominion had no direct ties to Venezuela or to Mr. Soros. And there was no evidence that Dominion's leadership has connections to left-wing Antifa activists, as Ms. Powell and others claim. Oh, she's gone even further. She's now claiming, now that her hair is purple, I don't know when this happened. It's bound to happen sooner or later. She's now claiming that Brian Kemp's daughter's boyfriend was blown up in his car to stop the Georgia audit. Trump-loving conspiracy theorist Sidney Powell is now alleging that a Georgia man was murdered as part of a scheme to prevent Governor Brian Kemp from conducting an audit of the state's vote, which was won by President Joe Biden. I think what we're dealing with here is pervasive and very, very dark, Powell told controversial far-right pastor Andrew Womack on his podcast. It's organized, it's well-funded, it's pure evil. They are willing to kill people, a la Kelly Loeffler's aide in Georgia, who was suddenly blown up in his car on the way to a rally for her. He was killed in a car accident. He happened to be dating Governor Kemp's daughter. Governor Kemp was considering, I think, at that point, a signature audit. We're talking about trillions of dollars of global wealth at issue here, alleging an international murder conspiracy. The only problem is Loeffler's aide was not suddenly blown up in his car. He died in a 3-car crash. Yeah, on I-16. There it is. Harrison Deal, the aide in question, died in a 3-vehicle crash on I-16. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution report at the time. Sidney Powell is now, and this is, I guess, it's the clip. I can't play the audio right now because the audio was being weird. Not quite sure why. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this real quick. I don't even know that any of us want to hear her voice this early in the day. Sounds like madness, y'all. Yeah, I don't hear it. So obviously there's an audio flub that happened when my computer restarted because the internet was gone. We'll watch this later on in the afternoon show. I'll bring this up and we'll talk about this later. She said he was a GBIS investigating fraud, was suddenly found dead. Suddenly found dead, okay. Loeffler campaign staffer dies 20 years old. This is very sad. Dies in South Georgia crash. Harrison Deal was a close Kemp family friend, UGA student, former Purdue intern. Killed Friday in a multi-vehicle crash. South Georgia, forcing her and Governor Brian Kemp to cancel their plans to join Vice President Mike Pence in Savannah for a rally. Harrison Deal, a young aide for Loeffler and former intern for Senator David Perdue, was also a close family friend of the Kemp's. 20-year-old from Statesboro was remembered by Loeffler as a beloved member of her team. I remember when this happened. Deal died in a 3-vehicle crash on I-16 near Pooler Parkway around 10 a.m. Friday, according to Pooler police. Spokesman Pooler is about 14 miles west of Savannah. Mostly statements about how everybody's dealing with it. Not there's ugh. Pooler police have not released the exact cause of the crash and are continuing to investigate. She added that others involved in the wreck suffered minor injuries and were treated at the scene. These are the cars. That's gnarly. Crash was one of 2 that occurred in the area Friday morning. Obviously, if he was blown up in his car, other people wouldn't have gotten minor injuries if they were in, the cars were connected, one would think. The crash was one of 2 that occurred in the area Friday morning. There was another incident on the interstate at mile marker 154 at 11 a.m. I mean, really sad, but this is one of those, like, them looking for their own Seth Rich moment. Just gross. She's a gross lady. She's gross and she's weird. She's weird and she's gross. She's got a gross head and she's very, very gross and she's gross lady. Man, oh man. So, anyways, that's sort of the current storyline with her. Yeah, 524 people in the chat just for the morning show, just for the hangout. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Oh, so we went to Ashley Babbitt. That was the first thing that came up in our looking at today's Twitter trends that were popping up. And mostly it's people who are, responding to it. There are more people on Yeah, that was Ashley Babbitt's last tweet. Yeah. People like Ashley Babbitt were constantly egged on to violence by former president. He bears tremendous blame in subsequent violence in America. Right. The officer shot Ashley Babbitt was standing his ground. Yeah, like this back and forth. There's Greg Kelly. My conversation with Erin Babbitt, husband of late Ashley Babbitt, she was murdered, all caps, on January 6th by Capitol Police. Erin was her devoted husband, like Ashley, U.S. military, for Ashley in 2 parts. On his podcast. Yeah, no, dude, she broke through a window with a large group of people yelling, "Hang Mike Pence." She was the first one through. She got shot because she was carrying a backpack with God knows what in it after reports of pipe bombs were in the area. A gallows had been built. They were smashing through a window. It was barricaded. The doors were barricaded. She climbed through. She was warned. I don't know why this is, even why they even think this is defensible in that regard. I mean, this is the reality of it. But that's the top one on there. And then Anne Hathaway, who will play her in the movie, I guess. Times Food. It's official. These 3 things can make you happy. What? Protein, fiber, and carbohydrates. Journal of Happiness has found that fruit and vegetable consumption and exercise can boost your level of happiness. Okay. A new book from Politico correspondent Ben Schrager claims to have independently confirmed the contents of 2 emails sent to Hunter Biden's alleged laptop. Yeah, that's what you do. You take real stuff and you mix it with fake stuff. Derp. Some conservatives are all flooded about stories saying emails on Hunter Biden's found laptop are genuine. At the same time, I know the New York Post piece based on these emails advanced Russian disinfo campaign by how it characterized the info. That's the issue. The also thing is, like, if you're going to make a fake one, we know they hacked. I'm sorry. I always, it's hard to say. How's it pronounced? 1 second. It's here it is. Burmesia. Burmisma. When they hacked Burmisma, they got real emails. And then they just mix them with stuff. That's how you create a fake that's actually functional. We know that they hacked his phone at one point. We know that they hacked his the email and the computer servers at Burisma. And so they just mix in that. They create some deep fakes. They throw in some stuff that's real and some stuff that's fake. And then they make you confirm or deny. And then any uncomfortable stuff that they find, you've now tacitly confirmed. And you mix it with stuff that's even more horrifying. And then you've accidentally confirmed stuff you didn't do. That's how it works. A billionaire is building a huge new city in the U.S. desert, but is it just greenwashing? They are? What do you mean? Telosa could open as early as 2030. A billionaire investor wants to create a new sustainable and equitable city in the middle of the U.S. desert. 150,000 acres, 5 million people, opening in 2030. Here's what to know about the ambitious project. Lauren Ingalls' ambitious plan would see an entire city built from scratch in the desert of the western USA. In 40 years, the duo intend to establish a full contained city, which will be extended over 150,000 acres and have a population of 5 million. Telosa, Ingalls, and Laura plan to build a high-rise named Equitism. The entire promo is filled with buzzwords like sustainable, equitable, and human potential, leading us nicely to the backlash against Telosa, which is rather substantial. Very exciting. Look at all the people who are using the parks. Whenever you design something, the trick with architectural firms is always make sure that you add a park, and then always fill the park with lots of people lounging about and using it for park-like things. By the way, if this is in, where's Telosa? Is it in Arizona or Nevada? Wherever it is, it's hot. These are the designs of the city of Telosa by investor Mark Lord, celebrated architect Bjar Ingalls' firm Big. Stretch of Western USA with 40 years to do it. It would kind of matter where, wouldn't it? I guess that maybe they haven't bought the land yet. In the center, Telosa, Ingalls, and Laura plan to build a high-rise named Equitism, which, like much of Telosa, is part of very much smooth marketing. Indeed, the entire promo is filled with buzzwords like sustainable, equitable, human potential. Some commenters on the website of the architecture design magazine Deason dubbed the city a vanity project, greenwashed Vegas. It could be the most sustainable city in the world. People are quick to question the sense of building another desert city when Las Vegas is already facing dire consequences of severe water shortages. Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't do a city like that and say Wyoming and use all the geothermal that everybody in Wyoming tends to think is hippy dippy baloney. Shall we go to the Telosa website? Telosa, creating a more equitable and sustainable future. Playing the video, we're gonna see that in the future this chunk of dirt could be a place for you and me. You wanna live here, but you want a bit of this and this and this. What if we could bring them together? I'm the guy who's starting the next Nexium. We wanted to buy here. No, guys, it'll be like this. This isn't stock footage at all. Yeah, we got a bunch of stock footage and we put it all there, and and that's the kind of thing I'm interested in doing, and I think we could sell it. It'll look. There's a lot of cities that in China and other places that they're making. Now, granted, they're falling apart in days, and everywhere else is crowded, so we'll limit the number of people that can live there. It'd be like a gated community with no gates, and that's how we'll keep people out. And of course, we'll expel any homeless people, and we'll have a special drainage canal just for them. And we're going to more bicycles, and level 1 will be bicycles, then go-karts, then anybody who wants to drive an electric car, and it's going to basically look like this but shinier. And we'll have this area where it's going to grow out of the center of this, and over time we're going to expand in sectors. Basically, I got this idea from Sim City. It's an architectural marvel, and I got the idea from my kid playing Minecraft. I got this. I was like a dream. My dream has always been that Legos. I always thought a Lego city would be something we could all do. Definitely Legos. Maybe we could use. Guys, I think you're all nuts. Ooh, jeez. Yeah. So, anyways, nobody buys it, but we're figuring if we can get some investors in there, then by the time they realize it's not going to happen, we already live in Dubai on a little island. See, that's how you do it. Anyways, where was I? Oh, yeah. So we're going to, at the same time, we're going to take this money and we're going to keep showing pictures of this so that people give us money. And then, it's a more sustainable thing. And then we're going to have weird aircraft flying around and an upside down train, which is totally futuristic and super. That's what we're shooting for. And then we're going to have this weird sculpture that's kind of vaginal. And then we're going to fly everybody in and out. There will be no roads that go to it, because wow, the biggest problem we've discovered in city design is the roads that lead to the city. Hal, I think Sydney and Frumpy are setting the stage to plead insanity, even Don Jr. No, I think they're genuinely cuckoo, but not in a way that will get them out of, criminal, have them, let's see, hold on, I bumped out of this. Not in any way that will absolve them. You live where you work where you live. You always feel safe, welcome and included. 0 guns, all sorts of laws. It's basically a festival town. And if you bring drugs in, we shoot you. All right. Unless they're smart drugs, in which case we're all on them. Telosa. Yeah, it's all VR. The whole city is VR. You turn out, it's just all concrete, and you wear VR goggles. Oh my God, it's so shiny. Getting around day to day is convenient and accessible. That's why we have propeller taxi car-y things. We don't have an airport because we don't like people. You're always connected to nature because you have to grow all our food here using our urine. Welcome to Space Town. None of the walls have any, or all of the walls are completely transparent. Don't try to change your clothes. In Telosa, it's a nudist colony in space. Have you noticed that there are no doors? Yeah, I've noticed that. It's weird. Have you noticed that they don't allow curtains? Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm getting used to it though. They're currently scouting built from scratch location. I'm gonna go with all the cheap land is in the areas where we buried uranium. So good luck with that. And then what you do is you take one of the sites where we buried all of our spent uranium and nuclear waste, and then you just send like conduits down into the earth, and you use that to nuclear power the city. That'd be good. I think they're gonna put it in Agartha. 30,000 acres in 10 to 20 years, 150,000 acres in 40 years. Then we stop. No more building, even though the guy that made it will be dead. All right. Million people to 5 million people in 40 years. All right. It'll be vibrant immediately, though. 30,000 to 150, that'll take 10 to 20 years and then 40 years. This will take 10 to 20 years and then 40 years. It'll be immediately vibrant. 33 people per acre, just like a class size. There'll be one tutor in in language and the stock market for everyone. And then of course it's basically just a city where AI will be, will get automatic citizenship. It'll be world-class experiences. Yeah, it's Sokovia, exactly. But if it continued to float in the sky. Creative solutions that improve the quality of life. Like little bug cars, flying drones, related to mini taxis. Apparently they're baby carriages that will fly all over, that will, I need to send my kid to preschool. Let's just put him in one of the autonomous kid buggies. Education, preparing the next generation for the future. I have a question. Shut up! Sustainable, protecting nature and our environment. Using solar, recycling poo. Nobody mows the grass. It's a city for everyone, especially the homeless. These are all the people that can't afford rent anymore. It'll turn into Raccoon City. While the current economic system is a growth engine, it has led to increasing inequality. Is that how the graph goes? Is that how it's working? Our why. This is guys. This is our why. Growth is going up like that. Equality is going down like that. Cities today. Oh, sorry. You missed it. It cycled through. Cities today are not inclusive. There it is. Cities today are not sustainable. They're all gonna burn down because there's too many people. Cities today are not open. Government that doesn't put your needs first. What? Students are being left behind. Unprepared workforce. Unaffordable healthcare. So you're gonna have like healthcare only available to the citizens of that city, of Magic City. It's a cult. This is a cult. This is basically Waco 2.0. I see. This is like stuff that Jared Kushner masturbates to. No regard for environmental impact. There is a lack of accountability for wasting natural resources and polluting. There is unequal access to talented teachers, sources, and an optimal environmental leaning. I'm sorry. Yes, we should have equal access to a limited number of talented teachers. And yeah, of course, the way you do that is, of course, you take the talented teachers and you force them at gunpoint to work at multiple schools. What? Cars congest streets and emit harmful CO2. Well, I mean, obviously, we're working on that and everybody has. And by 2040, most of the cars will be electric anyways. You guys are pretty much... No one poops in Telosa. We all have a poop hose. Open, fair, and inclusive. What does that mean? I don't. We believe everyone is an important and valued member of the community, and their voice should be heard, contributing to new possibilities. Yes, Gary Busey. Hey, I just moved here, so I don't know everything or whatever. But let's just say someone liked to walk around carrying a briefcase full of amphetamines, and they set it down somewhere, and they walked away, and when they came back, a robot had moved it. How would they get it back? That is my question. I think all of us are worried about a similar situation, and that situation is happening right now. Okay, dynamite. open. We believe in a safe and welcoming community that freely exchanges ideas and information to build accountability, competency, authenticity, and trust. Hi. I'm from the anti-vaxxer block of Telosa. Yes, we have taken over an entire section of town because apparently 22% of people are anti-vax in this country. So you made us move here. So you had to have 22% anti-vaxxers in the city because we have a valid point. And I just wanted to let y'all know you have measles. Sorry, I cracked myself up. Do I look like I need a psychological evaluation? Right. Hal, have you done any musicals? I have not. I would love to, but I have not. We believe that people should have equal access to opportunity and share in the prosperity that they help create. Okay, should they share equally with everyone who works harder than them? So you have people who dig, people who operate heavy machinery, people who, deal with the more complicated machinery. And then you have the temp worker who works in the front office who answers phones but only 3 hours a day. And she gets the same profit share as the person who lost their hand in the cement mixer. Okay. Imagine a sustainable city where children wear weird outfits to school. Autonomous cars create safe and flexible streetscapes. Why? This is renewable resources power the city. Create a disturbed distributed. Beg your pardon. I'm reading it as disturbed. Distributed, flexible, expandable, renewable energy system. But definitely not geothermal, which would be way easier because we're in the desert. Fresh water is stored, cleaned, and reused on site. Soylent P is people. Soylent P is people. Soylent drink is people. Soylent. I did. I got Lancelot and Spamalot, and then Queer as Folk started production again, and I had to turn it down. I actually, had a meeting with Mike Nichols, and he was very excited about me doing it. Yeah. Imagine an open city where citizens are provided with honest and clear financials. What, in their own internal financial system? So you buy bonds in the city with your own money. So you're an investor in the growth of the city. All city meetings are open and accessible so citizens can easily and effectively participate in the decision-making and budgeting process. Oh, Lord. This guy doesn't actually deal with people, does he? You do realize people tend to be a little cuckoo sometimes. You know that, right? I mean, you got to take that into account. The environment is always a priority because the buildings will fall over and everyone needs to live outside in the park. Citizens are informed and politicians are accountable. Are the citizens accountable? Are there no jails? There's not going to be a jail, is there? You're going to farm that shit out to the state, right? That's what's going to happen. If anything goes south, you're going to call the state police and pretend we don't have cops here. We don't have a jail here. The politicians are accountable. The citizenry can, they can shoplift, murder. It's fine. There won't be any serial killers here. Why would a serial killer move to our utopian town? Every student has access to the best teachers and resources. So all the same teacher, essentially. The city will invest in education to ensure that every student has access to high-quality teachers. Okay, so not the best, just high quality, I see. So high-quality teachers are the best, and therefore the rest of teachers, anybody who doesn't work there is not a good teacher. I see. Good. That's adorable. And resources to promote learning and achievement. Quality training programs preparing people for jobs of today and the future, which of course is wearing a VR mask and waving hello at fake people in AR. Easy access to personalized care. What, using the Apple Health app? You're having a heart attack. Please report to the morgue. Imagine an inclusive city where diverse housing options are accessible to all through more inclusive zoning. Inclusive zoning? Why would you have zoning at all? Affordable and sustainable mixed income housing will bring people of all incomes and backgrounds together, fostering a more tight-knit community. Oh, will it now? I see. Is that what happens? Is that what this happens statistically? All right. Why is it? What's not funny? These folks are... I mean, I'm not making fun of the idea that we should have good teachers or great teachers. I'm making fun of this brochure. Calm yourself. Nature and safe public spaces bring people together. That's why they're all running. They're all running from the pedophile that we didn't check because we believe in zoning. Anyone who's on the predator list should be allowed to live 500 yards from a school. We're just mixing it up. You roll a dice when you come to town and picks where you live. People easily access needs with a 15-minute commute, within a 15-minute commute. Oh, okay. So if you have any needs that are more than 15 minutes away, you don't have those needs, Dave. Imagine living in a city with an economic system in which citizens have a stake in the land. As the city does better, the residents do better. And as it fails, they all bail out. It's called equitism. There's a video. Equity is inclusive growth. Yeah, now look at that. They fixed it, guys. Before they had this, and now they have this. It's so much better. You don't want this. That's terrible. You want this. Because that's how it works. How do we call it here? Equitism. Noun. We define this. This doesn't sound like the Nexium cult as a city at all. To be completely frank, I like the design quality of it. I like, the view of it. He scares me. How we will do this, community empowerment, buy into the place. It's basically a giant gated community. Participatory governance. We have that. It's called democracy, dum-dum. Sustainable urban design. We'll use blocks. Sustainable urban design. City sectors. These are all the sectors. They're working on it. And it's all got let's see what culture, arts, and leisure. Local artists. There's a lot of hippie artists there. People who paint their own stuff. Public art installations. Arts and cultural committees. No comedians. All right, fine. Water, food, and energy, all in one category. Water as gold. An innovative design. Water closing the loop. You will drink your own pee, and you will like it. You sure we shouldn't filter this? It looks a little dark. Finish it. Otherwise you can't be mayor today. Oh, shit. Yeah, it totally reeks of Elysium. I'm just saying, okay, and here's tourism and recreation. Healthy and active living for all. Experiential and vibrant. World-class hotels, dining, and event centers. Major league sports. So they'll have a sports team. The Telosa Equifaxes. The Telosa Equity Eveners. The Eveners. That's what they'll be called. They only play at night when it's cool because it's 122 degrees in the sun wherever they were able to buy the land. And they get in trouble for stealing the water from a local area. And the Telosa Eveners believe that everyone gets a participation trophy and no one ever wins. Winning is unfair. The E-quitters, right? I'm sorry, like, the idea of trying to create a more equitable situation for people is lovely or whatever, but this just looks cartoonishly silly. This looks like they're punking people. All the boys will sit in the back. All the girls will sit in the front. The whole city will be run by our cyber overlords who will look at the city every day for trouble with their VR goggles on. They will be able to see your heartbeat and make it stop. Yes. A We Are Negan app. That's right, V. Gabriel. The environment. looks wonderful before the city is actually there. More children running. They're all chasing this poor little girl. We eat one child a week. That's the only thing. It's the cost. Governance. I don't know why the entire government is run out of a large PC. Apparently, I mean, because doesn't this look like a giant PC? G'day, Tom. Smarties up Smarties up front, non-readers in the back, right? And mobility. Everyone will take space taxis. Join us. Ready to move in 2030. How? How do I join you? I want to be there. We want to hear from you. Share your ideas. I think there needs to be a comedy club there, so we can make fun of all the problems, because there is no sustainable society unless you can make fun of every aspect of it. Without the freedom to ridicule, then you have no freedoms at all. I'm so signing up for this later. I'm just saying. Sorry, Willie Garson died at 57. Uma Thurman. The Texas abortion law is a human rights crisis for American women. Uma Thurman writes in an op-ed, right? Okay. Liz Cheney. U.S. border guard uses horse reins to threaten Haitian migrants. Sunny. Is it Sunny? Is there a movie called Sunny? We don't know. No official fans attempt to decipher the meaning behind rapper Tory Lanez's latest tweet. It's been real. Okay. Mary Trump. Exclusive. Donald Trump sues New York Times and his niece Mary Trump. And she calls him an effing loser. That'll keep you up. Moscow Mitch is trending. Oh, good. Look at that. San Francisco is building tiny cabins to shelter homeless people. One reason, it may be cheaper than tents. Tiny cabins to shelter homeless people. What? After years of resistance, San Francisco is finally jumping into the tiny homes technique for sheltering homeless people with plans to install them on 2 parking lots in the city. So, I mean, 3D printing, just saying. Steel frame 2-inch walls, heat, a desk, a bed, and a window. Revamp Village will help get improved bathroom storage spaces and dining area. Oh my God. You could sell these things for $1 million and pay for an entire homeless shelter in San Francisco. 44 tents in a San Francisco safe sleeping village will be replaced by late fall with 70 tiny homes dubbed cabins. Who couldn't see this coming? By the way, there are no homeless people. There are people who experience homelessness. Homeless is not a race or a tribe or a gender or a religion. It is being homeless happens to people. Calling people homeless people creates the concept that they will permanently be there. Even unhoused is as if everyone is to be housed. They're not homeless people. They're not unhoused people. There are people who experience homelessness. It's wonkier, but it also makes you stop and think about it as opposed to just attaching label and moving on, like water and spider. If the U.S. defaults and impasse drags on, the ensuing recession could wipe out nearly 6 million jobs and lift the nation's unemployment rate to nearly 9%, according to Moody's. Mitch McConnell says the GOP will vote for the U.S. to default on its debt. Mitch McConnell rather bankrupt. Yeah, this is going to be Democrats deciding to go it alone is real rich. Is a real rich Mitch. Democrats deciding to get things done after Republicans refuse to lift a finger. Right. Mitch McConnell announces he won't support any bill that suspends the debt limit, something that he did 3 times under Trump while adding $8 trillion to the national debt. Right. I mean, this is obvious. By the way, I think this will end up being done under reconciliation. What they're trying to do is get them to use up the reconciliation that they have in this cycle. You have to understand that. They used one already. They only, as far as the budget goes, the one that they would use for the $3.5 trillion package during reconciliation, they can only do one of those, which means they would have to raise the debt limit. They would have to do it through reconciliation, which they absolutely could do, with the Democrats and Kamala Harris, but they would use up their reconciliation vote. So they can't do the $3.5 trillion package, which means since they can't do the $3.5 trillion package in reconciliation, then the progressives in the House won't let the $1.5 or $1.7 trillion package go through. That's why. New veteran GOP operative with ties to Rand Paul McConnell indicted for funneling $25,000 from a Russian national to Trump RNC in 2016. Well, what do you know? That's a interesting turn of events. Two veteran Republican campaign operatives, including one who got a pardon from then President Trump 1 month before he left office, are charged in a new federal indictment with funneling $25,000 from a Russian national into Trump campaign in 2016. Jesse Benton, 43, and Doug Weed, 75, made brief appearances Monday at a video hearing in the U.S. District Court in Washington, pleaded not guilty to 6 felony charges, including facilitating a campaign contribution by a foreign national, acting as a straw donor, and causing the filings of false campaign finance reports. Grand jury indictment alleges that Benton and Weed worked together to accept $100,000 from an unidentified Russian national in order to get the foreigner a meeting with then-candidate Trump at a fundraiser in Philadelphia. Neither Trump nor his campaign are mentioned by name in the indictment, but details in the 19-page document make clear that the scheme involved seeking the donation in connection with the Trump event and an opportunity to get face-to-face with him. For example, the indictment's reference to $25,000 on October 27th to a political committee by Benton, allegedly to cover up the foreign source of the money, lines up with a donation the same size and date to Trump's political committee attributed to Jesse Benter, which prosecutors said is a garbling of Benton's name. There is no indication in the indictment that Trump or his campaign aides were aware that the money originated with the Russian donor. The charges say that Benton and Weed concealed the arrangement from Trump and that part of the scheme involved getting the political committees to unwittingly file reports indicating that Benton was actually the source of the funds. The indictment suggests that Benton and Weed hoped to make money from the scheme and did, taking $100,000 from the Russian, but paying only $25,000 to Trump victory. Benton, a veteran of Kentucky and presidential politics, previously faced federal campaign finance charges for payments to a key Iowa state lawmaker who switched endorsements from Michelle Bachmann to Ron Paul in the 2012 presidential GOP primary. Trump, just before leaving office, pardoned Benton for the crimes he was convicted of. Benton is also an in-law and former advisor to Senator Rand Paul, who is Ron Paul's son. Benton previously led Mitch McConnell's 2014 re-election campaign before stepping down amid legal scrutiny. Trump indicated that the move had the support of Rand Paul and former FEC chair Lee Goodman. You think? And to an alleged Benton was carrying out foreign donation scheme in the days just before and after he was sentenced to 2 years probation for Iowa-related campaign finance case. Like, why is that guy allowed to do this stuff anymore at all? There's Kellyanne Conway in her splatter dress. And then there's a Secret Service guy talking into his little piece. Donald Trump talks with customers. Does he, or does he just point to the people in his staff? They call this picture Donald Trump talks with customers. I don't know that that's the case at all, but whatever. Okay. Politico. Yeah, there won't be any more there. Just move on. Just skip it. Rand is short for rancid. All right, it's almost 10:30. I'll let you guys go in a couple minutes. My theory is that they would have to use a reconciliation vote to pass the raise in the debt ceiling, and to do that they would lose the reconciliation vote they have this cycle, or they have to put together, and it would take a while. They'd have to put together an entire budget, including the $3.5 trillion stuff and all that, and try to get it passed by 50 votes plus one under reconciliation and raise the debt ceiling, which will cause, a calamity. Yeah. So, and thank you guys for resharing Portia Payne's story that she shared with me. Anne Hathaway, Johnny Depp, Sixth the City, I think Uma Thurman. These are the ones that are cycling through. Here's our trends, and then we'll get on with it. The Wonder Years. Oh, that's streaming on Hulu. Good to know. Kristen Smart. Hashtag cybersecurity. Good morning. This is for the cybersecurity geeks out there, HTTP, this is because it's secure. I get it. That's adorable. Reverse engineering cheat sheet. Okay, there you go. Xi Jinping's crackdown on everything is remaking Chinese society. You think? Yeah, by the way, this is why China's Belt Road Initiative and their long plan for 2050 and all that stuff, this is why it's going to fail. Initially, everybody was like, oh my God, they got a 50-year plan. They're working on stuff. Anytime you do, this is definitely going to turn into, they've got the means and wherewithal and the people to pull off this stuff. That, this is serious. China's going to be advancing like crazy. And then he decided to make it possible. People were seeing the cracks in it, so you had to stop people from seeing the cracks. Well, the minute people noticed that there were cracks, you had to get rid of those people. And then you had to get rid of the people who were saying, hey, they're getting rid of the people who are noticing the cracks. And then it became a huge clampdown because that's what happens. And that's what's happening there. The orders have been sudden, dramatic, and often baffling. Last week, American Idol-style competitions and shows featuring men deemed too effeminate were banned by Chinese authorities. They have this thing that men in China are becoming weak and effeminate, and therefore they need to push back against that. So any programming where men are not acting manly is now being erased. Days earlier, one of China's wealthiest actresses, Zhao Wei, had her movies, television series, and news mentions scrubbed from the internet as if she'd never existed because she supported the Hong Kong protesters. Over the summer, China's multi-billion-dollar private education industry was decimated overnight by a ban on for-profit tutoring. This is basically because they don't want foreign influence, so they've been kicking out people who come over to teach English in China. So they were worried that there will be influence. And the reason they're worried about this is because they sent Chinese teachers abroad with that very mission, which was to influence politics, influence the university system in other countries, not just ours. And they are paranoid and think we're doing the same to them, even though it's just people taking a summer to go teach English in a Chinese school. While new regulations wiped out more than $1 trillion from Chinese tech stocks since a peak in February, as China's tech moguls compete to donate more to President Xi Jinping's campaign against inequality, Xi Jinping thought is taught in elementary schools, and foreign games and apps like Animal Crossing and Duolingo have been pulled from stores because they don't want you to be able to talk to other people from other places. A dizzying regulatory crackdown unleashed by China's government has spared almost no sector for the past few months. The sprawling rectification campaign, which such disparate targets as ride-hailing services, insurance, education, even the amount of time children can spend playing video games, that's now cut down to 2 hours a day, is redrawing the boundaries of business and society in China as Xi prepares to take on a controversial third term. It's striking and significant. That's Zhao Wei. She's gone. Just like Jack Ma. It's scary. This is some scary stuff. Officials are cracking down on China's fervent fan clubs whose members discuss and rank celebrities going to extreme lengths to support their favorite stars. When Chinese-Canadian pop star Chris Wu was detained on allegations of rape in August, his fans flooded social media in his defense, calling for breaking him out of prison. Male Chinese celebrities known for their androgynous style have also been a threat in Beijing's eyes. Last week, regulators ordered broadcasters to encourage masculinity and to put a stop to abnormal beauty standards, such as Nyang Pao, which means sissy men. This is a governmental policy. I don't know that most people are even aware that this stuff is going on over in China. Like I could see the seeds of this when I was over there shooting my show, and I became increasingly disappointed as we did the show. I was very excited to start filming my travel show that I was working on over there, and which was basically pulled up short because of COVID. And you could see this starting to happen bit by bit. And then at one point, and largely probably because of COVID, they just decided to pull the plug on all of it. Just stop pretending. And so in the middle of, probably mid-March, April last year, they just decided to flip the switch. This party does not feel comfortable with the expression of individualism that are in some ways transgressive to norms that it puts forward, said Rana Mitter, a professor of modern Chinese history and politics at the University of Oxford. The party state makes it clear that that it has the first and last word on what is permitted in mass culture. They are constantly warning that the West is failing because of our permissive sexual ideology and our allowing people to express themselves personally in a bunch of ways. And they constantly talk about this. So how can you say that that's destroying society elsewhere and then allow it in your own country? So they have to stamp it out at home because they have to demonize it overseas and make everybody think it's weird and dangerous. Test preps going in Changchun and Hunan province said the limits on tutoring have done more harm than good. Our company has halved its headcount and teachers must work longer hours. That's happening increasingly. There's, and by the way, if you think the United States is rough, you try to cross the border illegally or overstay your visa. Students still have to compete to get into good schools and colleges, and many of us are now on the verge of being unemployed. And then they got the lie flat thing that's happening over there right now. Xi's crusade has left the country's previously all-powerful tech titans such as Alibaba's Jack Ma and Tencent's Pony Ma in no doubt about who controls China's future, but it's also alarmed investors. I don't know why anyone would invest in China right now. I don't. And I don't mean, this isn't me giving an edict or saying that people shouldn't. But I don't get it. I don't know who would do it right now. It makes no sense. And even to the point where you're like, Hollywood's making movies over there or whatever, and you don't get to take the money out of the country ultimately. That's what a lot of the studios are learning, is that, the money you make in China stays in China. So I don't know why any business person, any billionaire, anybody would put money into a company over there. China does not need or wish any outside investment. Well, they court it sometimes. They stopped doing it because people want to. The problem that Beijing has is that when people invest their money in China, they want to know that it's actually being used properly and that it's going where you want it to go and that they're going to see a profit off it because that's the point of investment. But if it turns into vaporware and it was always BS, basically the con is up. It was a nice ride. It was a 25-year con, but it's over. And my heart breaks for the people of China in this, because they're the ones that are going to ultimately be hurt by this. Regulators on Wednesday summoned Tencent and NetEase over their online gaming platforms, ordering companies to eliminate content promoting incorrect values such as money worship and sissy culture. Both firms promised to carefully study and implement the orders. Right? Imagine being that sensitive about stuff, that you had to outlaw how people act or present themselves in public. Sissy culture, that's what they call it. Oh, and by the way, they have let's see, I forget what the name is. Hold on one second. Baizuo, that's what it was. Right now, just so you know, in Chinese culture, that Baizuo is what they call Bai is white, Zuo is left. Yo, Zuo. And white left is an insult because it's sort of aligned with the sissy culture idea. That this is they can't exactly call people soy boys because people over there eat a lot of soy. So they don't quite buy into that whole element of it. But just so you know, all over China, and this is pretty ubiquitous even when I was there, that the left in the United States is referred to as this derogatory term, baizuo. Just for the record, in case, I don't know, why people think we're devoid of, Yeah, here we go. If you look at any thread about Trump, Islam, or immigration on a Chinese social media platform that is, it's impossible to avoid encountering the term baizuo, or literally white left, first emerged about 2 years ago, and has quickly become one of the most popular derogatory descriptions for Chinese netizens to discredit their opponents online in debates. So what does white left mean in the Chinese context, and what's behind the rise of its negative popularity? A thread on why well-educated elites in the West are seen as naive white left in China. And Zhihu, a question-and-answer website, said to have a high percentage of active users who are professional intellectuals, might serve as a starting point. The question has received more than 400 answers from Zhihu users, which includes some of the most representative perceptions of white left, although emphasis varies. Baizuo is generally described those who only care about topics such as immigration, minorities, LGBT, and the environment, have no sense of real problems in the real world. They are hypocritical humanitarians who advocate for peace and equality only to satisfy their own feeling of moral superiority. They are obsessed with political correctness to the extent that they tolerate backwards Islamic values for the sake of multiculturalism. They believe in the welfare state and the benefits of the idle and the free riders. They are the ignorant and arrogant Westerners who pity the rest of the world and think they are saviors. The white savior complex in a lot of ways. So baizuo is where that comes from. And then let's scroll back on that. So that's been pushing for a long time. Hal has wrestler hair. I just got up and combed it. I'm sorry. This is just a mess. So this kind of stacks on top of Xi Jinping's attempt to get rid of this kind of culture, which they view as Western culture. I don't know why. There's nothing inherently Western about it. The only thing is that Western cultures are the most permissive about it, insofar as laws and whatnot. I mean, there's rare exceptions in Asian culture like Thailand and a few scattered tribes in South America and Africa and the like. But for the most part, in your functioning modern governmental systems, it's the Western democracies that are the most supportive of LGBT rights and that kind of stuff. And so they're trying to drawing a definitive line between what a mess democracy is and what you have to deal with. You have to put up with these people, right? Difference over the article may be a sign of deeper dispute within the party. According to Liu Yawei, a senior advisor focusing on China at the Carter Center in Atlanta, who wrote that such disagreement indicates raging debates inside the CCP on merits of reform, opening up on what China is today and what kind of nation China wants to become. Well, it doesn't matter anymore because Xi Jinping is now the final word on it. The whole thing about like ladies dancing in the park? Yeah, they've started regulating that too. That whole thing. Oh, this is on Weibo. These are the cops running off the old ladies who are dancing in the park, shutting them down, making them turn it off, making them go away. It's a cultural norm. Everywhere I went, this was all over the place. By the way, again, this is from Weibo. We're talking about cities that allegedly have 35 million people in them in like a 10-mile radius. If you ever been to New York, anybody ever been to Times Square? You ever been to Washington Square? They're packed all the time. Unless the weather's bad, they're packed. In the summer when the weather's nice in Central Park, packed. I mean, these are sparse. There's definitely people out, but these are supposed to be cities with millions upon millions upon millions of people. And I just don't buy it. I don't see them. We went there. We were everywhere, all over the city. In Chongqing, we were in like all these major cities, in Beijing and other places, and you could walk around with your arms out and not bump into anybody. There's also a pandemic. This is true all the time. This might still. The number of people on the street didn't change. I'm talking about before the pandemic. I was there before the pandemic. So it's just strange. It's just the whole thing's very curious. Ho Tian Ouyang, a student from Guangzhou studying event management at Macau University of Science and Technology, said the government's crackdowns are well-meaning but sometimes implemented too abruptly. They're well-meaning. Everything the government does, they do it to maintain the stability of its governance, and sometimes without considering the impacts on individuals, said the 22-year-old. It is a trial and error process, so people have to accept those errors and move on. Still, he said the measures can go too far. There is a point where government regulations stop working. You can ban artists in certain movies or songs. You can't teach people what to think. You can't? Afghan-American woman's escape highlights the secretive CIA role with the Kabul rescues. These are people who are getting out, by the way. I know Glenn Beck and all these folks want you guys to think that no one's getting out, and they want a map put on CNN. This is where the people are. This is these people haven't escaped yet. These people used to work with us. This lady used to, had family who was translators and the like. She was a politician, we're a teacher. We know where she is. She's in this apartment block, and they want you to announce it as opposed to just get her out safely. Shaqiq Birashk, I think so. Seen it early this month in Denver, was taken to a CIA compound in Kabul before she was shuttled to the airport for evacuation after Afghanistan fell to the Taliban. 5 days after Afghanistan fell, Shaqiq Birashk, holed up in her Kabul apartment, was contacted by a stranger offering her to pick her up and escort her to the airport for evacuation. The man claimed to work for the U.S. government, an American citizen who, until Taliban's takeover, worked on a USAID project. After some trepidation and encouragement from a friend who had already gone through the process, she accepted that night dressed in a flowing abaya that concealed a backpack stuffed with clean clothes. She nervously walked past the Taliban guards who had taken over security at her building and climbed into the backseat of a green Toyota Corolla, hopeful it would lead her to freedom. We were driving against the traffic. You would see male and female, young and old, all walks of life just walking towards the airport. Barash didn't know at the time, but a rescue had been orchestrated in part by the CIA, which played a pivotal role alongside elite U.S. troops in Afghan counterterrorism forces in the dangerous extraction of Americans, Afghans, and foreign nationals facing threats of reprisal from the Taliban due to their affiliation with the U.S. government. A spokeswoman for the agency, Tammy Thorpe, declined to detail the operation, saying only the CIA personnel, in concert with other U.S. agencies, supported the broader evacuation effort in various ways. After weeks fearing for her children's lives and dangerous escapes from Kabul, the moment Sunita was praying for finally arrived. This is Glenn Beck's worst nightmare. These folks arriving in the United States. 5 current and former U.S. officials familiar with the mission said the CIA used a compound known as Eagle Base, located just a few miles from Hamid Karzai International Airport, to carry out rescues like the white-knuckled nighttime drive through Taliban-controlled territory to deliver Barash and her from her high-rise Kabul apartment building. Like others in the story, they spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive aspects, of the chaotic 2-week effort to evacuate 124,000 people from Afghanistan. So yeah, but I don't know why we don't announce it. Why aren't we announcing where she currently? Let's see. Rescues the Eagle Base. She's been Barash's account aspects to share with the Financial Times reveal new details. I don't know if they're letting people know where she is currently. Barash, who said she was unaware for days that she was taken to a CIA base, was advising Afghan officials through an Afghan non-governmental organization when the Taliban began to threaten Kabul. Family members and some of her friends had pressed her to flee, but she told them that she wanted to go on her own terms rather than repeating the trauma of leaving as she did in 1989 as a kindergartner where the family fled a civil war. I had returned to Afghanistan with respect, and I wanted to leave it with respect. Let's see. It was too late following the Afghan president, and he left. Right. Barash, already worried about violence at the airport, learned her flight had been canceled. She received a call from the U.S. government. She initially told the government officials she didn't want to leave Afghanistan without several other Afghans. She knew the gentleman very kindly and actually professionally said something along the lines of, well, our priority is you. Whenever you're ready to leave on your own, let me know and give me a call. She said, can you please take me with you? She was an Afghan agent. I just broke down at that point. I was already shattered that I couldn't help the 11 people I wanted to. And then here, to the last second, she was begging me to take her with me. Just the guilt overcame me. She got in a car, 2 other evacuees inside. An Afghan man drove them through the Taliban checkpoints. I said, when do I know I've reached you? And he said, you will meet my friends first. The vehicle stopped. Afghan forces direct her and the other evacuees to change cars. They were driven less than a mile to a CIA camp. We were told not to disclose our locations. If people started showing up to the base looking to evacuate the man warned they wouldn't be able to help anybody else. She was turned over to the Hungarian military, which flew her by plane to Uzbekistan. She spent 3 days there at the airport and moved again to Budapest. She remained in touch with the same U.S. government representative, turned out her names. She's in Colorado. Reunited with her family in Colorado on August 26th. She's heartbroken for the Afghan youth who have been brought up to have dreams that are no longer possible under the Taliban, and angry with President Biden for the way in which the United States withdrew from it. It's a foreign policy failure. It's an embarrassment, she said. I had to hear it as an Afghan American from the Afghans. Oh, you're privileged. But now it's even more than that. Now it's you guys that destroyed us. Can we shift from nuclear push to economy? Intensified internal debates in the country, report says. Oh boy. Yeah, this is what I've been talking about, by the way, with the Evergrande default that's going to happen. Whose article? That was from the Washington Post. Evergrande founder Jian Xu at a meeting in Wuhan, China on June 5th, 2017. Xu's property empire is crumbling after Chinese regulators tighten credit rules. Well, and they were borrowing money upon borrowing money upon borrowing money upon borrowing. And it's like, a lot of these buildings are empty. Beijing is even considering allowing such a large company to go bankrupt. Something that would have been unthinkable a decade ago reflects a shift in government priorities, analysts said. This is the big thing that everybody's looking for, towards happening at the end of the month. That's just, yeah. What's with the ghost cities in China? My personal theory is that it's a mix of two things: Ponzi schemes and the government wanting the Indian government and the Indian people to think there are more people in China than they are because they're competing for the same water. So the minute that India realizes that China only has 600 million people and not 1.4 billion, like they say, yeah. Oh, I went way long, didn't I? I kept chatting. That's it. It's the Midwestern goodbye part of it. We'll talk more about this. This is going to happen over the next few days. This will increasingly be a story, but you're going to see a lot of Chinese investors pulling their money out of the stock market because they've lost all their money in Evergrande or in this other stuff, and they'll just start disappearing people. The great thing about the Chinese system is that if people feel like they're owed money, the Chinese government can just disappear them, so you don't have to pay them out. But been listening on TV. Excellent. Well, it's a good morning, hangout. I don't know why a lot of the stuff I've been touching on isn't. Yeah, Korea definitely does that. North Korea especially. Yes. This is going to be going on for quite some time. But again, because China started isolating their market about 3 years ago, it's going to affect less of the world than it would have, which is, I guess, a good part. A good reason. So anyways, we'll keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't cascade. But you're going to see a dip in the stock market occasionally as people investors in China who have money in stock markets around the world or money hidden someplace pull their money out so that they can spend it and live off of it as their other investments take a giant crap. So you'll see that. But there's enough people in the world who will buy those stocks, so it's not going to be a giant leverage fall. It just won't. That's my opinion anyways. Bitcoin's also going to tank. China's starting its own, is going to try and start its own cryptocurrency and isolate themselves from Bitcoin and the rest of the world's doing it. Bitcoin it'll fluctuate and then it'll become a thing and then it'll go through, it'll go through, ebbs and flows until it stabilizes into something much more like a traditional currency. That's just how it'll work. And so the investor class will jump in early, make a lot of money off of it in the beginning, and then and then it'll get traded like dollars and pounds and euros get traded. Anyways, You guys are awesome. I will see you later on. I will, if I stay on any longer, I will just stay on until my afternoon show. And I have obviously some tech stuff to do and some reading to do because I'm currently reading Peril and I'm about halfway through it. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Okay, bye. saw that. Thank you very, very much. Thanks for the Venmo and the support, guys. That's amazing. I'll mention it again this afternoon.